What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, Season 6, Episode 4, Splash. So we have a brand new couple to meet. It is Christian, 30 years old, from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Cleo, 32 years old, originally from Italy, but now living in London. So Christian is considered to be the life of the party. We find out early on that during the pandemic, he had eloped, but then that marriage ended up getting annulled. We don't know yet the reason why it was annulled. And he tells us that he met Cleo on social media. He thought that her posts were really funny. And if a girl has a sense of humor, that is like the direct way to Christian's heart. And Cleo is actually a model living in London. So then we meet Cleo. She's a student and a model, like I said, 32 years old. We also learned that Cleo is autistic. We see her walking around the city and she has on a sunflower lanyard. And I don't know if this is just a European thing or if this is also going on in America, but I have never seen this. So by wearing a sunflower lanyard, you're letting people know that you have an invisible disability. I had never heard of this before. So in this particular scene, she's meeting up with a friend by the name of Osama, and they're meeting like in a cafe or something. And at the very beginning of the meetup, she starts talking directly to production. She breaks that fourth wall and starts talking directly to production, asking them what their star sign is, etc. I don't know if that has something to do with her being autistic, or if she's just the kind of person that if she wants to know something, she's going to find out no matter what. I don't know what was going on with all of that, but yeah, she broke that fourth wall in order to find out the star signs of the production team. So she talks about Christian with her friend Osama, and she talks about how she met Christian about a year ago, and that she is a total simp for Christian, meaning that she's just goo goo gaga over him. She's going to throw caution to the wind and take this risk and, ignore the signs, ignore the red flags, and try to see if this situation can work out because she's really into Christian. Now, when we first meet Cleo, at first I thought to myself, Cleo, I thought maybe Cleo was trans. We find out later that this is a trans girl or a trans woman, but I really didn't know for sure when we first met her. Then I thought maybe there was some type of like a hormonal issue where, she was born genetically female, but maybe because of some hormonal situation, she was, pretty tall for a woman, pretty angular for a woman. I really don't know what was going on, but we do find out later that Cleo is actually a trans woman, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So Cleo meets up with her friend at a clothing store, and this is when I noticed the Adam's apple, and that's when I was like, I wonder if Cleo is possibly trans. And we do find out that Cleo is definitely transgender. She says that Christian knows about it. Christian is okay with it. Cleo has been transitioning for the past 9 years, but she hasn't had any surgery yet. And some of the surgeries that some trans women go through is they will lower the hairline, they will get rid of their Adam's apple, and of course there's also the gender reassignment surgery. She's not against gender reassignment. She just wants to make sure that if she does make that decision to do that, that she chooses a credible doctor. And she understands, all that goes into that. So she wants to make the wisest decision possible. Cleo wants to know if Christian, once they actually meet in person, she wants to make sure that he's going to be able to handle the challenges that comes with dating a trans person, because even though in Christian's eyes he may see nothing but a full 100% woman, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the public sees or that's what other people see. And other people might be pointing things out to him, they might be saying things to him, and so Cleo wants to know that Christian is strong enough to withstand all of the criticism, the stares, the questions, and all of that, and still accept her as his woman. So moving on from there, Christian is hanging out with his friends or playing poker, and he says he's very open to dating a trans woman. And even though his friends know that Cleo is trans, Christian says that if they didn't know, and if he would have introduced Cleo to them, like in person, they never would have guessed that Cleo was not born genetically female. Now, I'm going to keep it all the way real. I don't think so. I kind of disagree with that statement. And this is not to shame Cleo or anything like that, but I mean, it is what it is. Because like I said, when I first saw Cleo, I don't even think I noticed the Adam's apple right away. I don't know if it was covered up or what, but when I first saw Cleo, I immediately thought this is probably somebody who was not born genetically female. I initially thought that. And so for Christian to say, oh, if I would have introduced her to my friends and they didn't know that she was trans, there's no one that they would have guessed that she was not born genetically female. So I don't think I don't think the friends would have thought that at all. So Cleo's is Christian's first trans girlfriend. One of Christian's female friends asked him, so like, what's really going on here? Are you just experimenting? Like, what's really going on? And Christian says, no, I am 100% straight. I'm straight as, straight AF. And even though he had an experience in college, he says that, he's really into women. That's all he wants. And that, to him, Cleo is a girl, is a full-blown woman. So like, he doesn't understand like what the confusion is. So the friends ask if Cleo has had gender reassignment surgery, and Christian tells his friends, well, that's not my place to say. Well, just by you saying that probably indicates to the friends that she probably has not had gender reassignment surgery to begin with. But Christian did make a good point in his confessional. He says, I wouldn't ask such deep, intimate questions about, their partners. So I don't know why they would ask that about mine. And I thought that was a really good point. I mean, that's a very personal question for them to ask if that has happened yet. So his friends seem pretty open-minded, and they seem, pretty accepting of everything and not too judgy or critical. So hopefully, if Cleo ever does come to the United States, she's going to feel pretty safe around his friends. But only time will tell how that's going to go. I really did think that the friends asking if they've had gender reassignment surgery, I thought that was a little bit inappropriate and crossing the line. And hopefully that when they do, or if they ever do meet Cleo, that they just accept Cleo for who Cleo wants to, present herself to be. Moving on from there, we have Jasmine and Gino. Jasmine and Gino. So it is day 2 of Gino's trip in Panama. They were intimate after Gino took his little blue pill. So last week I said there's got to be something going on with Gino other than, he can't perform because they argue, or he can't perform because he's worried about how much money Jasmine is spending on the apartment or whatever. There's got to be something else than that. And sure enough, he probably has ED. So he had to take his little blue pill. He took his little blue pill. They got it on and popping. I don't know if they were satisfied or not, because according to Jasmine, she tells us that even though he did perform, he did not see the glory of the Lord. And so that didn't happen still. He's still struggling with that. She says he gets too exhausted. That's what she said. He gets too exhausted. But when the season started, she said that it has something to do with her. And that's why she had gone to the doctor to get things tightened up. But I don't know what's going on. So she says this is the 7th time in 2 years that they have been intimate. 7 times in 2 years. Talk about sporadic. Moving on from there, Gino then presents her with gifts. He gets her a fanny pack and 1 box of air. Like, there's no way this is for real. Like, he must have been doing this just to make the audience laugh. Like, he could not have been serious. He gets her a fanny pack because the one that she had previously was completely worn out. They had overused it, and 1 box of hair. That 1 box of hair cost $300. And so Jasmine says, okay, that was really sweet of you, Gino, but I need like 10 boxes of hair because, I need 10 boxes of hair, but it's good that you got that because now you have an idea of what I like. And so you'll know what to buy next time. But yeah, you're going to probably be spending about, $3,000 on my hair next time. So Jasmine says that she's not going to sacrifice her quality of life once she moves to Michigan, because once she told Gino that her hair alone cost $3,500, he was like, look, just because you know how much money I have in my retirement, because he says that Jasmine already knows how much is in his retirement account. Well, Gino, that's your fault for, telling her that information. But because she already knows how much he has in his retirement account, he doesn't want her to feel too comfortable with spending his money. And so he talks about budgets and all this and that. And, Jasmine does not want to hear anything about budgets. And that's when she says, I'm not going to sacrifice my lifestyle and what I'm accustomed to once I move to Michigan. I expect everything to be exactly as it is, the way it is here. And so we'll see how that goes, because I think Gino sleeps in a bunk bed. So we'll see how that goes. So then they go to a cafe, and because the visa, according to Gino, the visa is going to be approved at any time, he needs to talk to her about this prenuptial agreement, because they're going to be getting married at any time. So he brings up the subject. As soon as he said the word prenup, Jasmine shut it all the way down. She was not trying to hear anything about a prenup. She said, F you 1,000 times, Gino. And then she took off her engagement ring, and she says, I no longer consider myself engaged. And then she's done with it. She wants to leave. So Gino gets up to open up the door for her at this cafe to let her walk out. And she's like, no, you go ahead. I can open up my own door. So Jasmine is highly, highly pissed. So we find out the next day that particular night, they didn't even sleep in the same room, which it wouldn't have made any difference anyway. They didn't even sleep in the same room, and Jasmine refused to talk to him for the rest of the day, right? So the next morning he gets up and he comes knocking on her door because he wants to talk to her again about the prenup. So Jasmine was like, okay, I'll go ahead and, I'll listen to him. I'll let him say what he has to say. So as he starts fumbling around, because he's trying to figure out how to tell her what he needs to tell her without saying the word prenuptial agreement and without pissing her off, she stops him and she says, before you go any further, be very, very careful with what you're about to tell me. Be extremely careful with what you're about to tell me, because if you're going to talk about a prenuptial agreement, I am not going to get married to you. So then he found a way to phrase it differently to make it more acceptable to her. Not acceptable to accept the idea, but acceptable as far as listening to him and not shutting him down right away. So he says, well, what I have here is a proposal, and it is, you need to look at it as a way to protect you. This is, a way to protect Jasmine. So she hears him out, and he says that if he's the one that ends up filing for divorce in the future, then she's going to get more than if she were to file for divorce. And so she's like, okay, so you're basically telling me that if I'm unhappy in this marriage and you're treating me wrong, I'm basically stuck, because if I file for divorce, I'm not going to get anything. So I'm going to be stuck in an unhappy marriage with you mistreating me. And so you can just go off and you can cheat on me however you want, with however many women you want, and I'm just stuck. I just have to accept it, because if I dare to file for divorce, I'm going to be left with nothing, even though you're the one cheating on me. And he says, hold up, Jasmine, wait a minute. There is a caveat in this agreement, or in this proposal, which says that if I am to cheat on you, then you're still going to get, the fuller amount, the bigger amount, if I were to cheat on you. Can we add a couple of more things in that, please? Can we add not just cheating, but emotional and psychological and even physical abuse, emotional abandonment? Can we add all the other things that can lead people to divorce, other than someone just wants to get money out of it, or someone just wants to get a divorce for no reason, or someone wants to get a divorce because they found something better? Because all of those things are probably more likely to happen than one of them cheating. Okay, emotional abandonment, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, financial abandonment. There's a lot that we need, like a whole plethora of things here to say that if these things were to happen and Jasmine is the victim of these things, then she does have the right to get a divorce, and she also has a right to get the fuller share or the bigger amount. But I digress. So she looks at the proposal, she yanks it out of his hand, and she reads it herself. She doesn't like it. She tears it up, and she doesn't want to hear anything about that, because she wants to get married with the understanding that they're going to stay married forever. And if they should separate, I'm thinking she probably is going to be expecting half, So They begin arguing. After she tears up the proposal, they start arguing. Jasmine says, you know what? My ex is a whole lot better than you in every way. He looks better than you. He's better in bed than you. He's better than this and that and this and that than you. And so Gino was like, so why aren't you with him then? If he's so much damn better, why aren't you with him? And by the way, you're not all that, Miss Thing. And that's where their scene ends. Jasmine and Gino, I really was not interested in watching them again, but I forgot how funny they are, and I guess they are needed for comic relief. Moving on from there, we have couple number 3, which is Misha and Nicola. So Misha has arrived in Israel. After 7 years of long distance dating, they finally get to meet face to face. So they have this wonderful reunion, and Nicola just cannot stop saying how much he loves her. And I'm waiting for her to, reciprocate and say, I love you too. But she never did. He kept on telling her, I love you. He told her in his language. He told her in English, and she never reciprocated. So when he told her again in his language, she goes, what does that even mean? And he goes, it means I love you. Okay. After he explained, she still didn't say it back. Okay. So, they do hug and they kiss and all of that. And this is Nicola's first time kissing a woman after 16 long years. And they both claim that they're both attracted to one another, that as far as the looks go, they both exceeded what the other expected. So from there on, they're driving to Nazareth, which is where or is it Nazareth? Nazareth, which is where they're going to be staying for 8 days in a hotel. Nicholas says to us that he's not going to bring her to his mother's home because, number one, mom doesn't know about her. And he says he doesn't want his mom to, disrupt their flow and, mess up what they got going on. So he's hiding her in Nazareth, and he's going to be staying with her in a hotel for 8 long days. Okay. So when they get to the hotel, they're at the checkout desk and or the check-in desk or whatever, the front desk, and Nicola wants to verify with the staff that their room does have 2 beds, and he starts like over explaining everything and oversharing. He says, yeah, because we're not married yet, and she's still married. She's not, she doesn't have an annulment, and we're not married, and so we can't be sleeping in this. I mean, trying to give their whole entire relationship history, and your girl is like, okay, Nicola, I think you're oversharing. Let's go. So they go into the room, and it does have 2 twin beds. And in the amount of time that it took him to go find something to eat, he comes back up, and there has been an explosion of clothes and shoes everywhere. I didn't even think it was the same room by the time he came back with the food, because she had unpacked just one of her suitcases, and I think she came with 3, and there was clothes. I mean, there wasn't even a place to sit down. There was clothes on the bed, on the windowsill, on the radio, clothes everywhere. And I'm assuming she's there for, I don't even know how long she's there for, however long she's there for. It's not long enough for her to wear all of those clothes. And so then they start talking about marriage. And he says, if you were already annulled, if your previous marriage was already annulled, I would marry you right away. We'd be headed straight to Father George's church, and we would have been getting married right away. And she really doesn't say anything when he says that. But she did ask him. She's like, well, so how do you feel about things so far? And that's when he told her, well, if I had it my way, if you're already annulled, we would have been getting married like right now. So he asked her, so how do you feel? And so she says, well, okay, I receive what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But I think that we probably need to get to know each other a little bit better before we take that step. And so Nicola's a little bit taken aback by that, because he thought that she was on the exact same page as him. Like, if it wasn't for this stupid annulment thing, they would have been, both of them would have wanted to marry each other like right away. But she needs a little bit more time. As far as the annulment goes, she has started the process of that. She's gotten in contact with the archdiocese to get that annulment situation started, because as long as she's just divorced but not annulled, she's somehow still connected to her ex-husband. And so the annulment will be like the church severing all ties between her and her ex-husband, and she's going to be like a brand new woman or something. So Misha says, okay, they need to get to know each other better. And yeah, and Nicola is a little bit surprised by that, Okay, he's definitely picking up what she's putting down. And I'm glad that the wheels are turning in his brain. Because you know what, y'all? I'm not really buying the whole Nicola and Misha story. I don't know what the reason is for them wanting to get together, but I'm just finding it hard to believe that it's as innocent and pure as they want us to believe that it is. I feel like there's just something else going on there, but I could be wrong. Moving on to Riley and Violet. So Riley has finally arrived in Vietnam. It was how many hours was it? It was more than 48 hours. 27? Was it 27 hours? I don't know. It was a long flight. A lot of layovers, a lot of miles, but he's finally arrived in Vietnam. And so they see each other for the first time. They hug and everything is wonderful. So he whispers in her ear that she has a really nice derriere. So they are both very happy with each other when they see each other. Okay. Now my question is, I don't know what the norms are or the culture is in Vietnam when it comes to interracial dating, but I'm always very curious because in America we're very race obsessed, and even in 2023, y'all, there's still some controversies about things that you would think that we would already be over. For example, interracial relationships are still kind of like, where it's more accepted now than it ever was before, but it's still, there's like still something there when it comes to interracial marriages. It's not like accepted 100%. People always have something to say when they see an interracial couple. Okay, so I don't know. So I'm curious, like in other parts of the world, is it a big deal? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I'm really curious, like in Vietnam, how they feel about, not just interracial couples, but a person who is Vietnamese being with someone who is black. That's what I'm really curious about. But it seems like, there's no issues and she's not worried about it and he's not tripping over it. So maybe it is very much accepted in Vietnam. So, Riley checks into a hotel and she is not going to be staying with him at the hotel. He's going to be staying there by himself, even though he does get her a key as well. And the reason is because Violet says it's not accepted in her culture for her to spend the night or to share a room with a man that she is not married to. Okay, but he does get a key for her anyway. So they meet up for dinner. Now, when they meet up for dinner, she ends up waiting on him. I'm not sure exactly why he was late because she clearly told him, let's meet back for dinner in 40 minutes. Well, she was there. He wasn't. So he finally shows up and she says to him, well, in my country, a woman never waits for a man. Okay. A woman never waits for a man. So he's like, okay, I get it. I'll try to be on time next time. And he says, the real Violet is coming out because Violet is, naturally very demanding and bossy, and she doesn't have a problem expressing exactly what she feels and what she thinks. So she tells him, okay, so then since it's her birthday, they're also celebrating her birthday. He presents her with a gift of pearls, and it was a pearl set, a pearl necklace, bracelet, and a pair of pearl earrings. So it was obvious that she wasn't really impressed with the gift. He saw it. We saw it. It was pretty obvious. And so in her confessional, she says that pearls are not rare in Vietnam. They harvest them from the north to the south, east to the west. It ain't no big deal in Vietnam. So, and she's not a big fan of pearls either. And he noticed it because later on in the episode, he says something about how she really wasn't impressed with the gift. So then Riley asks about plans for the next day because he can't wait to spend time with his lady love the next day. And he's probably expecting them to be together from sun up to sundown. And so she tells him, well, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be busy. So yeah, you're going to have to find other ways to entertain yourself. And we may have dinner later on. And so he was definitely disappointed. He was like, because this is how she phrased it. She goes, I'm sorry, I'm going to be really busy tomorrow. But did you want to have dinner or did you want to meet up later? And he was like, what you mean, do I want to? I traveled halfway across the world for you. I was on that damn plane for 48 hours. What are you talking about if I want to see you for dinner? So hopefully she's going to be able to pencil him in for dinner. The next day, I'm like, Violet, girl, she said she had like a teacher's mission or something to do with her, I'm assuming with her job or something. But girl, is it going to last all day? But she said it was a mission. So I'm thinking about like a religious mission. So maybe it is going to last all day and into the night. I don't know, child, but honey. Okay, moving on from there. Amanda and Rosman. Oh my God, here we go. Doom and gloom Amanda. Amanda, girl, this is not it. She's still moody. She's still something like she's not happy or something. I don't know what's going on with Amanda. I mean, my feelings are she's still dealing with the death of her husband, and she's missing her children, thinking about her children, worried about her kids. This just was not it. Like I said, if I was the producers of this show, I would not have picked her to be on the show. I would have been like, girl, I think you need more time with your kids and, to go through the grieving process. I don't think you're ready to be on a trashy national or international television show about relationships, and your husband just passed away. But anyways, Amanda feels like Rosman was putting too much pressure on her to meet her kids or to tell her kids about him or whatever he said. And so but he's ready to get this relationship going. He wants to get this relationship going. I kind of feel like Rosman is an opportunist. I don't really feel there's any type of genuine feelings coming from his end. For Amanda, she's so lost in the darkness of grief. I don't know if she has feelings for him or not. But Rosman, I'm not feeling like he's like genuinely interested in building a life with Amanda. He's probably interested in having fun with her. He's probably interested in coming to America. But I don't think he's genuinely interested in building a life with her and these two children. So he takes her to the park and he asks her if she would want to be in his music video, because he also has he says he has a music career as well. And she was like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I don't know how to act, so yeah, no thanks. She politely declines. So then he tells her, well, if I can't have you, I'm going to have like an actress in there, and I want you to be okay with it. And she says, I don't have a problem with you having women in your videos. I just don't want you to kiss them. Now, he calls his music producer and he tells his music producer something about, Amanda's not going to be able to do the videos. I'm going to have another female actor in it. And the producer was like, well, is she going to be okay with you doing these scenes with another woman, or is she the jealous type? And he was like, yeah, she's definitely the jealous type, but this is going to be a test for her. So when he gets off the phone with the producer, he tells Amanda, because Amanda asked him, so what the hell were y'all talking about? Because I heard my name. And so he tells her, yeah, we were talking about you. And in fact, are you going to be okay with me doing this video with another woman? And she's like, Rosman, my issue is not you doing a video with another female. I know you're going to have a female in your video. My issue is I don't want you kissing another woman in the video. And I don't know how you're going to have you can definitely have a very sensual video without any kissing at all, because you can allude to certain things happening and not actually show them happening. So he can make it work. If he really cares about Amanda, he can definitely make it work without actually laying his lips on another female. But we'll see how that goes. Moving on to David and Sheila. So David has arrived in the Philippines. So when he arrives in the Philippines and he sees Sheila for the first time, when they meet for the very first time, I thought she did, I'm jumping the gun. Before we even get to the airport, we see her at her home packing up her bag, because they're going to be staying in a hotel for a few days, just the two of them. So we see her in her home packing up her Louis Vuitton bag. Now, this is the only reason why I'm making a point about this. It was just like the juxtaposition of a Louis Vuitton bag in this makeshift home, this shack. Not because, it could have been a gift. It could have been something. It could have been a fake Louis Vuitton. It doesn't even matter if it's real or not real. But just the fact that we're watching this woman who is dirt poor packing up a Louis Vuitton bag in a shack. And the Louis Vuitton could be fake. I'm not even talking about, did she spend it with her own money? Could she afford a Louis Vuitton? How can she afford that? But she's living in a shack. It's not even about the finances. It's just the visual of watching a woman packing up a Louis Vuitton bag inside of a shack. So after that, she goes to the airport and they meet. I thought out of all the reunions so far on this season, I felt like David and Sheila's reunion was the most genuine of them all. I felt like they were really happy to see each other. And she even cried. She cried uncontrollably when she saw him. And she was so like caring and concerned for him. And I thought that her sign language was a lot better than what I expected, because she really doesn't know American Sign Language that well. The way that she was able to sign for him or with him, to me, it was better than what I expected it to be. They totally were communicating and understanding each other. So, Yeah, that's where their scene ended, is them meeting at the airport. And like I said, out of everybody so far, this has been like the most genuine reunion that I have seen. So not really much to say with David and Sheila other than they're really happy to see each other. He talked about how, you know, her perfume, the smell of her perfume, the softness of her skin. He said he was going to remember always. Now next week, he might be packing his bags up out of anger and, you know, stomping away and swearing to never see her again. I don't know what's going to happen next week, but as far as this week, David and Sheila, to me, it was the most genuine and the sweetest reunion out of all the ones that I've seen. So yeah, and I think that's it. I don't want to keep y'all too long. It's already 30 minutes in. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.